Welcome to Trina Talk. This is the podcast where guests share their stories of pursuing their passions, living a fulfilled life, and empowering others. Each week, I talk with inspiring leaders, business owners, and people with amazing stories from around the world in unscripted conversations as they share their successes and failures. This podcast is all about empowering you to keep striving in your personal and professional life. I am your host, Trina L. Martin. Hey, welcome to another episode. If you're listening, go ahead and go out and subscribe so that you won't miss any future episodes. Also, if you like the show, give us a 5-star review. That way we can move up in the rankings and other people can find the show and be impacted and inspired just like you. Are you a woman of color in tech who feels stuck because you don't see people who look like you? You lack support from someone who truly understands your journey, and you want to overcome the obstacles that you're facing in the tech industry? If you want to elevate your pay, become a leader in your company, and be noticed by colleagues and executives to advance in your career, then Tech Trifecta is for you. It's my 3-month private coaching program, and it's now open. Only a limited number of women are going to be accepted. So apply today at tlmintl.link/Tech Trifecta. My guest this week is Sharon Hughes. Sharon is the author of the best-selling book, The Girl in the Garage, 3 Steps to Letting Go of Your Past, a faith-based book for breaking free from a lack of confidence and self-worth issues. She is the founder of the Confidence Academy, the host of Call to Confidence podcast, a confidence and self-worth expert, and a critical incident stress debriefer. She is an excellent communicator that speaks in a friend over coffee style that is easy to connect with. When she's not coaching women, recording her show, or plotting her next book, you can find her gazing at a California sunset, petting every dog that crosses her path, and eating an obscene amount of popcorn. Hi, Sharon. Welcome to Trina Talk.
Oh, hello there. And thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you for taking time out of your day. You are a busy woman. You are an author. You also have a podcast, and you're doing some amazing things. And how I always like to start out the show, I ask my guests to tell the listeners who you are and what made you the Sharon that you are today.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm Sharon Hughes. I'm a confidence and self-worth expert. And what made me who I am today is, oh boy, how about 4 decades of learning the hard way? I think that's the honest answer. Yep.
You know, I have to say, when I saw that, I was like, where was she like when I was in my 20s and 30s and just a mess? So tell me, so I always like to, before we delve into all the good stuff, I always like to know, what did you do prior to being your, the confidence and self-worth expert? And how did you, decide that this is what you needed to do?
Well, gosh, it's been such a journey. And I have done everything from being a swimwear model, which I kind of chuckle about because that was 30 years ago. But I've bartended and I was in banking, and then I was a personal trainer in the fitness world. And then I had an international wholesale business, and just, I did all these different things. And what I found the common thread was that I really, really liked helping people. So when I had my international wholesale business, I advertised in a lot of big magazines and got to know editors and a lot of people in the industry. And one day I thought, gosh, it was so easy to put this together, this little business of mine. Why don't I put on events, like entrepreneurial events, and kind of, you go girl type of events, and help women get that mojo to go and do what they've been dreaming of. And so that really sparked that I loved speaking. And I really, really found that I just loved encouraging women so much that when I was actually closing my business in 2013, I decided to pursue life coaching. And as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. Interesting. So I'm a speaker too, so I love to speak, but you have decided to do confidence and self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Well, I know we're going to go deep today, Trina, my friend. I never had a confidence problem. I'm an extrovert. What I had was a self-worth problem. I had grown up in an abusive home, and a lot of really bad things happened to me. And what I started to realize is, for example, when I had my wholesale business, I was getting a lot of press. And I remember one day I was very excited and very, very thankful for everything that I had. But one day I had this thought that I really hadn't worked hard enough for those accolades. And I kind of thought about it for a moment and brushed over it. And it wasn't until I was going through being certified as a life coach and I was planning my next event for women, I started thinking about, like, I've been dragging around a lot of mess for a long time. And getting deep in that and realizing when you're on top of your game and you're winning and you still think, I don't really deserve this, I didn't work hard enough, there's a problem with that thinking. Mm-hmm. And so shortly after that, I went into corporate training and I was given free creative reign just to do anything I wanted to do. And quite a few of the managers had told me, we need people development, not just the hard skills in their job, but the soft skills. So I thought, okay, I had God whisper something to me in the middle of my personal mess of healing and having that healthy self-worth. And I thought, I'm going to try it out in the corporate world. So what I did was basically said to this room full of people, men, women, all different backgrounds, is I said, you know that thing that you've dragged around all your life, the coach that told you won't make the cut, the lover that walked out on you and told you, nobody will ever love you. Or maybe it was the parent or teacher that said, you're stupid. Like, you cannot learn anything. And I said, don't say what it is, but hold on to that thought, that thing that you've been dragging around. And I did this whole training. And at the end, I said, okay, that thing that you've been dragging around, who would you be if you weren't that? And a lady in the front row just blurted out, free. And I thought, okay, we're on to something. So about a week or so later, I did the same training with another group. And in this training, two people started crying. And all I could think of is, I'm going to get fired because you're not supposed to be people cry in corporate training. But after I was all done, one of the guys, there was a guy and a girl that had started to cry. This guy, I'd say he's probably 37 years old, comes up to me and he goes, I haven't spoken to my family in 10 years and I'm going to call them tonight. And I just thought, okay, this is the deep issue. And that became very foundational to the book that I wrote, The Girl in the Garage, because, and that's a whole nother story. I don't know if we're going to have time to go into that, but people drag around things that have hurt them and wounded them so deeply that most of the time are lies or half-truths. And it keeps them from being successful and even enjoying their success because they keep thinking, well, what's the next thing to make me feel good about myself? So that's the really long answer.
No, that was amazing. And we are going to talk about your book. And I asked you that first because, similar to you, I grew up in an abusive home with my mother saying everything that she could to basically tear me down. Unlike you, I'm an introvert, but I never had the confidence issue. My thing was the self-esteem, self-worth. And how I turned that around was I ended up being a type A, really driven person. My resume was great and, had everything. But then, I would come home and I was like, oh, I'm just a mess on the inside. I feel like a failure. Those, words kept coming into my head. So that's really why I wanted to know that, because I can relate. Right. So that is very interesting that you decided to do that. And in a corporate setting, you had people to react the way you did, because that's not what you expect, right? In corporate setting.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an amazing time of learning so much. I was just going at it as hard and as fast as I could, because I was on my own personal journey to really break through some of the things from my past. But I thought, this stuff works. We could literally change the world by this. And so I'm really driven. I'm very driven to help people let go of these lies that they believe. What I like to say, this is really powerful, is believing a lie is just as powerful as believing the truth. Yeah.
That's so true. But why do we opt to believe the lie? Is that because that's what we hear resonating in our head all the time? That's the thing that stings the most. So that's what we keep bringing up. Why is that?
Well, quite often, especially if it started at childhood, when we're little kids, we think, well, the adults around us must know better. And they say these things. And, we are small and our little minds are absorbing everything around us. And even if a small child is like, hey, wait a second, this isn't right, which isn't always typical. Children, especially really small children, they're not discerning of truth and lies. They're subject to their parents, their caretakers, teachers, to be their, guardians and guide them to the North Star, so to speak. So those things come in and you start to second guess yourself. And even if you doubt for a moment, what's going on here? These people are saying things. I don't think this is right. If it persists, what I found was that little voice inside you, that gut check that says something isn't right, starts to become silenced. And we stop listening to our gut. Yes. I think that gut is really put in us by, God Almighty. I think that's like kind of a, like a safety mechanism, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because I can remember when I was going through my mess, when I was really in my, low self-esteem, having people just treat me the way that they wanted to, just settling all that. I remember, not hearing that voice anymore, because I think I was just numb and just hoping somebody would love me and care for me. Whereas now I'm very keen on it. And, I listen to it and I'm very aware and discerning. So that's very, very interesting that you were able to realize that.
It took a long time.
Yeah.
A really long time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So we're going to have a deep conversation. So tell me about your book. So your book is The Girl in the Garage, 3 Steps to Letting Go of Your Past.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Oh, all right. Well, here we go, audience. So like I had said earlier, grew up with a lot of brokenness, abuse type of situations from multiple people inside and outside the home. But what really sealed the deal for me was when I was 16, I went to a Halloween party with an older boy. And I know you're already bracing yourself because you know where this is going to go. And when I got there, he wasn't real interested in me. And it was kind of like, oh, that's okay. Party was at an older sister's house. And another sister handed me a cup. I went into the bathroom and I was kind of adjusting my costume, took a few sips of this drink, and immediately I thought, I'm so tired, I just need to lay down. And I remember laying on the floor in the bathroom. I woke up 7 hours later in a garage at another location, and my uninterested date was now very interested, to put it nicely. So I got home. He drove me home, which was quite interesting. And so it's like, 4-ish in the morning, and the front porch light was off and the door was locked. And I had to, knock and get somebody out of bed to come to the door. And when my mom opened the door, she just looked at me. She didn't say, where have you been? What happened? And that is what really sealed the deal. It was just, I knew it didn't matter. I wasn't important, and it was never discussed. So I went on through life doing what I had always done, was, kind of being Susie Sunshine, the nice girl, shoved everything down and just continued on as best as I could until I couldn't. Yeah.
Wow. Whew. I am sorry you had to go through that, because like I said, I can relate. I know how it feels to have a parent that, talks to you like you're nothing and doesn't really care. So how did you get past that? How did you work on letting go of your past?
Well, being that I'm a woman of faith, and I think now, I just believe that all those things that are horrible, somehow the Lord in his goodness gives us beauty for ashes. And that's what he did here with me. A lot of people can go through those kind of things and become bitter and jaded and angry. And I don't know, I just wasn't wired that way. Now, on the other side of it, I'm 55 and I go, this was my calling and purpose. Somehow he knew that I would be able to turn this around and help other people. So how I did that, gosh, it was a lot of just hard work. I would literally, you're going to laugh at this. Do you know who Joyce Myers is?
Heard the name before.
So yeah, so she's a pastor, and she's kind of a roll up your sleeves, let's get her done type of person. And at the height of going through the healing, I would have her on, or worship music on, or even just like the Read the Bible app going. Yes. When I went to bed at night, like I had to have it all in my head.
Yes.
All the time. The truth of who you are, because somebody in your audience is listening to this and they think, I'm nothing, I'm nobody. And that is a lie. You, my friend, matter. You are important, and you have a purpose. So it was really getting deep in that, undoing the what do I believe about myself, and always asking myself, is this true? And then you have to go a little deeper and say, okay, if you think it's true, well, what evidence do you have? Because so-and-so said so. Right. Well, why don't we look at who that so-and-so is? What are they doing? Well, they're just sitting in the lazy boy chair, drinking a cold one and barking orders at everybody else. I don't think that that's who gets to decide my value.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh my goodness. It's so funny because, like I said, I've said it several times already, but I can relate, because just like you, when I was going through my mess, I had to have on any kind of inspiration or spiritual something. I was listening to Joel Osteen. I was listening to T.D. Jakes. I was listening to everything to get me through. And here's my question for you. I experienced this, and I want to know if you experienced it. Did you think that, okay, I'm unlovable, or I can't be loved because of this thing, or someone is going to judge me if I tell them this thing?
Oh, yeah. That's just the lie. That's the shame and blame that comes in. I used to think if people only knew, then they wouldn't like me.
Right.
So, and I think it's also really important that for anybody in your audience that has went through some type of trauma, they find somebody very safe that they can discuss this with. Because the last thing, and this happens all the time, is we tell the wrong person and that person says, well, why were you there? You were asking for it. How were you dressed? Or I just don't believe you.
Right.
Yeah. Which makes the trauma even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, and it's so sad. And it's, just going back to what you were saying about when you were giving the corporate training, it's amazing. And did you feel this way, that how so many people have things like that in their life that they have suppressed or they're holding on to or whatever. And we don't know that because we all, we walk around like, you were driven, I was driven. We turned this all into different kind of energy to get past it. But then you have people in corporate training that start crying or saying, I'm going to go call my, family that I haven't spoken to. Isn't it amazing how many people have that kind of trauma in their life? And we have, no one else has that kind of clue. And of course, that's not something you lead with when you meet people. You don't go, hi, I'm Trina here. Here's all my, screw up mess in my life. You don't do that. So, it's, so how are you, when you work with people, how are you helping them to get past that and let go? And I totally agree that you have to have someone safe in your life that you can talk to. What are you doing to help other people with that?
Well, it's a long curriculum. In fact, just tonight, I'm wrapping up a 16-week course with a group, but it's a process. And I think that going through that process, some people get scared and they're just like, because it doesn't feel good, right? To unearth something that you believed, or you're doing this work and all of a sudden you remember something that you shoved down and suppressed. I just want to say the other side is so much better. Like, give yourself the chance to get to the other side. It's hard. I used to say it's like a bloody street fight of me getting out of the garage. That's what I would equate it to. Because there were times when I would get triggered and I would cry so hard I'd just about throw up. And you're sitting there and you're just thinking, nobody can possibly understand this. But there really are people around that do. And so that's part of, that deception, is that, first of all, we can't tell. And then second of all, nobody would understand. So we keep things shoved down. But it's a really long process. And we start with, what is it that you believe about yourself? And then we say, is it true? And then we start looking at, well, what's the truth about you? And everything that I do is through that biblical lens. So it's really hard for me to talk about this type of work without bringing in the faith, is because it runs so deep for me, is that, and honestly, like, so anybody in your audience that's saying, well, I don't know if I believe in God, that's okay. That's okay. I would still tell that person, you matter. You are here for a purpose. You have something inside you that's different than anybody else does. And you might not be ready to accept God. Like so many people are not, because they think, well, I went through all these terrible, hard things. Why would God allow that? Which I actually address in my book. It's this little sneaky thing called free will that has big consequences. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, I wrote a book titled From a Mess to Amazing. Kind of my thing. And when I was going through my cleanup, my hardest thing was forgiving myself, because, you work with, telling people, think about this. Is this really true? And even though I knew I wasn't that person that I had been told that I was, because I was told I was that person, I had made the poor decisions and the bad choices in life. And that really just stuck with me. I couldn't get past that, because I was like, you're not this person. Yeah. Why did you do this? Why did you do this? So that really was the hard thing for me, to actually let it go and forgive myself.
Yeah, that's a battlefield all in its own.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We make choices sometimes just on autopilot. This is the person that I've been. If I really stopped and thought this through, would I do that? Maybe, maybe not. But these neural pathways of how we think, and which leads to how we behave and act and how we feel, they're so deep. So the things that you went through set you up for certain behaviors, just like they did myself and you and I. If we went out with a group of women, see, you and I now have this really funny gift that we can see a woman and talk to her she could barely say hello, and you and I can read it and go, oh, she's hurting, even though she's dressed to the nines.
Right.
She's got the corner office in the C-suite. She's driving that Mercedes. She's hurting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my goodness. So you're the founder of Confidence Academy. Tell us what that is.
So Confidence Academy is live workshops, almost like when you're watching this video here, and I walk you through different ways of understanding how you think, what makes you act the way that you do, and how to be more confident. And most of the time it boils down to that self-worth piece. Most people will say, oh, well, I would do that if I was confident. But really, I think confident is a skill set, just like learning how to type on a keyboard. You can learn to be confident. The real work is in feeling like you deserve things. It's that self-worth piece. So I go in really deep on that. And then I also have something that's even deeper, which is called to confidence. And that's really addressing people that are dealing with brokenness.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's just amazing. And I had never heard of anyone with a Confidence Academy. So it's very interesting. So when you started doing your trainings in corporate and you were like, okay, this is really, I've, touched on something here.
Yeah.
And how did you come about to saying, okay, I'm going to form this Confidence Academy? Was it the this is it? Or how many iterations did it take before you finally said, this is the best way I can help other people?
Oh gosh, it was so many iterations. I had Faithful Lady Boss. I had Limitless Life. Gosh, there was probably 4 or 5 that were really sprouting out of those entrepreneurial events for women. And, I was doing those, and I think I got to about the, 8 or 9 year mark. And I was like, I don't want to talk about business anymore. I want to talk about matters of the heart. And that was the really hard pivot. And it was funny, as I actually flew to Arizona to go to a speaker's retreat, and everyone that came, and there was several hundred people there, had to have a 5-minute talk prepared. And I got there and I had something really safe prepared. And I remember standing in the bathroom and I felt like God says, nope, you need to tell your story. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. So I call that bathroom negotiations with God. I started messaging girlfriends and saying, I feel like the Lord's telling me to tell this story. And I couldn't reach anybody. And then I'd get a text back that says, we're praying for you. You'll be fine. Just do it. I thought, you don't even know most of the story. So I argued more and ended up doing it. And I said, it's 3 steps to letting go of your past. And so I gave that little tiny talk, and I walked off the stage and I said, that's it. That's the book that I've always wanted to write. The Girl in the Garage, 3 steps to letting go of your past. So here we are.
Wow. Wow. Just, isn't it amazing when you actually have that discernment and you're listening and you're following what's, God is telling you to do. So amazing.
It is. It's just surprising. I think it's really surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It really is. And I like you know, in my business, I had several iterations of different things, and I'm like, nope, that's not it, and that's not it. So,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, it's just, yeah, just knowing, like you said, that confidence and actually tapping into who you are and knowing. So, in your Confidence Academy, when you're working with people, who do you find come to you? Is it male, female, both? Is it the high powered professional person? What are the demographics?
No, I've had both men and women approach me, but sorry guys, I want to work with women. And it's really two demographics. It's women that are in their 50s to 60s that feel like, okay, I've raised my kids, everybody's out of the house. Maybe they're widowed, or most of them are single, which is very interesting. And they're usually single because they've had trauma and they've married Joe after Joe after Joe that wasn't a good Joe. And they say, okay, now I'm ready to deal with my stuff. And then the other demographic is the age group of my daughter. It's the 30-ish year old that says, my mom wasn't around. She never told me any of this. And they need that cool aunt that will tell them all the things. I'm like, I'm not really that cool. I'm kind of a nerd, but be glad to help you.
Wow. So these, so you have these women coming to you, and like you said, it's the woman, so like me, in the 50s that said, okay, I'm tired of going through the same cycle. Need my help. You need your help to help me, move on with the second part of my life, right? Because, that's where I am now. I'm like, okay, my second half has got to be better than the first half. So what is your process for just kind of bringing them along? What do you do? Do you have a certain methodology that you take them through? What is it?
Yeah. Well, it depends on what they want to do. I have the do-it-yourself program where they can just watch the videos and fill out the worksheets and go at their own pace, or those gals that they really want to go deep. And the gals that want to go deep and one-on-one, it's more we go at their pace. But I do push a bit. Try to get them through and just really get down to the nitty gritty of, all the junk that they're dragging around. And, it's interesting is they deal with the stress, the fitting in, and the heartbreak in very interesting ways. And it's everything from shopping so that they look like they're okay. They've got all those nice things, to sitting on the floor in the kitchen and, eating out of the Cool Whip container, which I think we've all done that one. So they're filling it up with that emotional eating. It can be porn. It can be popping pills. It can be drinking. It could be gambling. It could be risky sex. Wow. Like men and women will do any variety of things to stop the bleeding. And I really think that addiction is a trauma response, because nobody wakes up and goes, oh, I think I'm just going to go gamble until I lose my house today. Right. There's something going on beneath the surface. So it's a lot of uncovering what's really the issue here. This isn't just that you don't think that you deserve the C-suite, or that you deserve to be, loved, right? Something like that. Something deeper. It's a lot of lack of self-love. And then we deal with self-abandonment.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Wow. And I never thought about it that way when you're don't know your worth, you don't feel love. And so, you find things to numb that. And you're not consciously doing that, but you're doing that. And that's really, I had never thought about that, but it is, it's an addiction. It's your way of numbing that pain, from shopping to, like you said, to the gambling, the drinking, the popping bills. It can be from one end of the spectrum to the other. Wow. And it's really sad, because I think people don't look at things like that, as I have an issue, I need help. Because, at first I didn't, I kept chugging along and, I was that person, oh, well, let me shop. Yeah, I look great on outside and, on the inside, I'm a mess, but, I got those new boots and that new coat, so I'm going to look good. Mm-hmm. And I think because there's no physical outward scars, mm-hmm. that we think that, okay, I'm okay, or this is just me, or whatever, I can get past it, no big thing. But mm-hmm. I think with that kind of trauma, I think it's something that really is more hurtful than a physical scar, because mm-hmm. it's something that you're always replaying in your head, always. Yeah. Yeah, and it's bad.
It's bad. The videotape in your head is dangerous. Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely is. Oh my goodness. So, see, I don't want to keep.
I can see your wheels are spinning. You and I should get together and we should, I don't know, maybe we should do an event for women.
That's what I'm thinking, because my wheels are spinning, and I know we have limited time here, but man, it's just, yeah, it's very, very pervasive. Yeah, we'll talk more offline. So are you ready for your questions?
Oh my goodness. Here comes the 10 questions.
Okay. Here we go. Have no fear. You're going to do fine. Okay. Who or what motivates you?
Oh, I think my kids. I have 3 grown kids. Yeah. They motivate me. Yeah.
What demotivates you?
Oh, the stuff that's going on in the world today that's so divisive. It makes me just sad, and I kind of want to sit on the floor and eat Cool Whip.
Me too. Oh, when was a time that something was said or done to hurt you, but it worked for your good?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, gosh, probably all the stuff that's in my book, even the whole garage thing.
Yeah. Because you turned that around. What is your fear?
I'm really not afraid of very many things at all. Gosh, that's a good question. I've killed a rattlesnake. I don't know. I kind of feel like a dragon slayer some days. So maybe what I would be afraid of is it's kind of that thing that's probably on a lot of mamas' minds. It's like, what's going on in the world, and what's this going to be like for my kids? What's going to happen to coming generations? Yeah, it's a concern.
Is there a time when you wish you had done something that you didn't?
Oh yeah. I think there's so many times, we play that game of what would you tell your 20-year-old self? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely, I wish that I had believed in my value all those years ago. If I could go back in time, I would do that. But then I probably wouldn't have experienced all the things that I did that ended up in the book. So maybe I would have wrote a different book. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Is there a time you wish you had not done something?
Oh, yeah, but I can't tell you that here.
It's something you can tell me.
Maybe off the air. I don't know.
Okay. I'll let you slide on that one.
Okay.
What is your definition of success?
I think when you just lay in bed every night and you could just go, I did good today. I made somebody smile, brought some joy somewhere, left something in this crazy world a little bit better than before. Yeah, I don't feel like success has to be a big over the top dollar amount or house or car. It's a feeling.
Yeah. Yes. How do you recharge?
Oh, I read a lot. I read and pray a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always good. What are you awesome at?
Making pancakes.
Ooh. That sounds delicious. Oh, what legacy do you want to leave?
Oh gosh. I want this next generation to come up knowing their value. Yeah.
That's a good one. Sharon, go ahead and tell the listeners again how they can connect with you, your website, how to get your book, if they want to do the Confidence Academy online or in person. Give us all of it.
Well, yes, you can find me at sharonhughes.net. And if you're looking for the book, it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And if you're interested in more information about leveling up your confidence, just feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at sharonhughes.net. And I'd love to hear from you.
Great. Well, Sharon, thank you for the great conversation. I'm pretty sure we'll stay in touch, but thank you for taking time out of your day.
Oh, absolutely. You're just a treasure. Thank you so very much, Trina.
Thank you. I want to thank my guests for being on the show, and I want to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show, and don't forget to tune in next week.